Hello, everyone. Welcome. Hello, Tilita. Welcome. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for this. I've been waiting for this for as long as you and I have been. I think it's been more than a month. We've been talking about this.
Oh my
I'm just like, okay, counting the days. Everyone, I am here with Coach T. You have probably heard me just gush and gush and gush about this wonderful, beautiful, talented, powerful woman. And I'm so excited to speak to you today on our Dance Art Life interview series. You are number 21. That's a really lucky number. I know.
Yes.
Hard to
and
believe.
The 21st is my birthday as well. The 21st of September, though.
I told you something felt really kind of magical about 21. And I know that there's a lot of athletes, I think, that have the number 21. Is it a Michael Jordan number? I don't know. I'm trying to think. Or
23.
23. Okay.
But I don't remember
who else if there's 21.
Right. I don't know.
My number in sports was number 4. That was my big number when I was playing. Did you have a number? You were track and field.
Yeah, we didn't have numbers in track.
Okay. So everyone, we're just gonna kick it off like old friends. But anyway, today I'm here to talk with Coach Tilita. We are talking about high performance. Really, I mean, this word gets thrown around a lot, and it doesn't get more high performance than Coach T. So
that's very generous. Thank you.
It's true. Coach T has dedicated her life to high performance training, award-winning, world-class athlete, fam, world-class here. We're not messing around. So coming from my former athletic background, I just have so much respect for athletes because I know how hard you all work. And I first was drawn to Tilita through her Instagram page. We also have mutual friends that we know and people because we were both I have a history of being in Los Angeles. You're now based in Los Angeles?
Yes.
So I saw Tilita's, Coach T's Instagram page. I'm like, I think I want to. We were talking through IG Messenger, and so I was like, Tilita, and in my mind, I'm like, we got to do something together. I'm like, maybe we should work out together on IG. And then I saw her page, and I was like, no, I'm good. And there's not very many people that I'll just be like, okay, I'm just gonna back it up. So let's do an interview. So thank you so much for being here today with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Do you want us to give us a little background about your history, and if you will, just your kind of loose general definition of high performance?
Oh goodness. Well, yes, I'm so honored to be here. So thank you for having me in one of your coveted slots for this interview. My background. So I've been an athlete all my life, like literally all my life, since I was 4, and competitive since 8? I want to say 8. I started as a gymnast, and it was in high school that I transitioned to track and field. One day, a coach stopped me in the hallway. Coach Susan Ray, who I love dearly, stopped me in the hallway one day and asked me, "Excuse me, young lady, do you run track? Are you a runner?" And I was extremely proud to be a gymnast. Like, I love being a gymnast. And I said, "No, I'm a gymnast." Like, I was like, "Absolutely not. I'm a gymnast." And she looked me up and down and said, "Well, young lady, with those legs, you need to be on my track." So this afternoon, 3:00 after school, and that is how my track life began. Seriously.
And she just knew you had a special gift.
Right. And I called my mom that day. I was like, so apparently this afternoon I'm gonna go to track practice today instead of and she was like, okay. So and open, and I mean, I'm just a huge sports lover. I love athletes. I love pushing the body, challenging the body, challenging challenges in general, but just especially seeing what the body can do. It's just like a beautiful, powerful thing. And I've always been that way. And maybe back then I wouldn't have articulated it in that way, but anytime I see sports, I just am in awe. So her saying that to me, even though I was proud to be a gymnast, I was open, and I thought it was cool that someone else saw something else in me. I was like, okay, sure, I'll give this a go. So yeah, that's sports wise. But because of that interest in the body all my life, that I knew, okay, well, at some point that I want that to be my profession too. Well, I don't know what that looks like, because my goal was never necessarily to be a professional athlete. My athletic goal has always been to be an Olympian, which is not necessarily professional. But I knew profession wise, the body is in it somewhere. So that perked my interest into, fitness and all that stuff. So yeah, that's in a nutshell, the background. So I got my training certifications, nutrition certifications. I started at a well-known international gym now, but at the time a boutique gym, at the front desk, and kind of just observed first. And then the training manager asked me, well, when are you going to get on my team, on the training team? And then that happened. So yeah, that is pretty much the path in a nutshell.
And you now have a program that you support people for their fitness and nutrition goals, and a program called Surge, correct?
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about Surge real quick. I mean, normally I would wait till the very end to talk about Surge, but I think I have ulterior motives, because I did her master class the other day. It's called Game Changer Master Class. And I was just so blown away with Tilita and the way that she thinks and approaches fitness, and really the connections that you make with achieving your goals. She actually coined the phrase #goal digger, which I just love. So #goal digger. I'm like, oh, that is brilliant. So, and also how we can apply the same kind of mindset around accomplishing your fitness and wellness health goals to life, and how that translates over, which I really think is really, for me, what gets me excited about this work.
Definitely. So I was essentially, real quick about goal digger, I love, nothing more than setting ambitious goals, talking all things goals, and really just digging to find solutions to reaching that goal. To see people get better at what they do, to see people do things they never thought they could do. That really lights me up. And I think an athletic process, a high performance mindset process can, whether you are an athlete or not, can really, it makes you step up a little more, show up for yourself a little more, with just that heightened sense of go get itness, go getter attitude, go get it attitude.
Right. Right.
And so, so Surge. Surge stands for strong, uplifting, resilient, get after it energy. That is the energy that we cultivate inside of the program. So again, whatever your goals are, to get you stronger, to uplift your mindset, to be resilient, because there will be, setbacks along the way. Our progress is not just this linear, always going up, but you're building the tools physically and mentally to be able to withstand and keep going anyway. Right. So that resilient energy, and the get after it. Yes, there's a lot of things and a lot of people that, like to set goals, but setting the goal is one thing. Now, what's the process to actually working towards it? So it's that get after it energy that I've been that has been me and my process all my life. And I just want to share that with as many people possible. It really is disheartening when I see people who are not happy with what they do, whether that's what they do for a living, whether that's they don't feel good in their body, whether it's goals that they set aside that they would rather have gone after, but they chose a different path for whatever reason, but they aren't expressing themselves fully. And that's another part of that surge process. So surge doesn't have to be if you have an athletic goal.
Oh, okay,
it doesn't
great.
have to be if you have some physical goal. If you want to make more money, you should surge with us. If you want to,
wow.
If you want to be the best mom you can be, you should surge with us. If you want to start your own business, you should surge with us. And then of course, if you have an athletic goal, like I've worked with many runners as well, trained for half marathons, 5Ks, 10Ks, Ironmans, Spartan races, all of, in between. So if you want that sense of accomplishment, a deep sense of accomplishment, then I also invite you to surge with us too. So it runs the gamut, but just from this high performance athletic standpoint.
Okay, so can we talk about that a little bit? Let's dive into the mindset of high performance. Because you said when in your game changer masterclass, you talked about use the word overachievers. There's another word that you use a lot called go-getters. So these are words that I relate to as an athlete.
Yes.
Right. But okay. So talk to me about what high performance means to you and like what does it take to be high performance?
Ooh, that's a great question.
We're just going in.
Right. Ooh, that's a good question. And two of the things that stand out that when that question is posed is you are not okay with the status quo. That's one thing. And then two, you are someone who either thrives on or is just okay with being uncomfortable. You purposefully, intentionally put yourself in uncomfortable, when I say situations, I don't mean like dangerous or situations, but meaning you like challenges. So you purposefully seek out what you know will help you grow and develop, what you know will kind of test the waters, put you
and whether or not this is actually a conscious thing, because now as you're talking through this, I'm like, oh, so that's what I was doing. That's what I do.
Yes.
That's what I do. That's what I've been trained to do.
Yes.
As an athlete, or when I was trying to accomplish or train for something or do something for a performance or to get ready for a certain game or event or whatever, that's the kind of mindset you go into, right? The overachiever, I guess willing to courageously put yourself out there in what you're saying, uncomfortable positions and places. Right?
Absolutely. And one of the big discomforts is failure. So the willingness, like you just said, put yourself out there, knowing like high achievers, overachievers, high performers, we believe in ourselves. So we're not going out there in order to fail. We're not looking for the failure, but we know that it's possible and we do it anyway. We know that it's hard and we do it anyway. We know that there is always a chance for it not to go our way, and yet we put ourselves out there anyway. That is also definitely characteristic of a high achiever, for sure.
And high performance mentality.
Yes.
Would you say?
Yes. Because there's the mentality is that you are always wanting to get better. Also, again, no matter what it is you are doing. So therefore, in order to get better, you have to do either something differently than you're doing now. It can't be the same old every day. If every single step you take, every single action you take is super duper comfortable, then we know there's not much change that's going to happen.
Right.
So that's, yes, part of the mentality as well. I would also say oftentimes high performing athletes think that we're invincible.
And that nothing can happen to you, or nothing bad can happen to you in some ways.
Right. Nothing bad can happen to you, that you can get away with whatever, doing extreme things with your body.
Right.
Which on one hand, that's a great way to think, because it does allow you or enable you to strive for things that the average person wouldn't. Yet, on the other hand, it definitely, that drive and that push makes us do things, can make us do things without the proper precautions, maybe, or preparations. And that's what,
just being risky.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what all of the, not what I call, I forget his name. I always forget his name. Is it a sociologist, I want to say, back in the day, who did a study on swimmers, collegiate swimmers, I think, and wrote this great article about the mundanity of excellence. The mundanity of excellence are those repetitive, monotonous, boring things, habits that are essential, though, in order to create excellence, in order to perform at a high level. They're not the big, exciting, sexy things that we see, oh my God, she ran a half marathon in an hour and 40 minutes, or or he or she is lifting 200 pounds and then sprinting across the field and then doing burpees, and then like they're sweating. Like, it's not the big stuff that you see. The mundanity of excellence are those small little habits, like I'm thinking of technique work, which of whatever your given activity or sport is. It might be meal prep. That's not really sexy. Or it might be focusing on drinking enough water in a day, or when I go to bed every night, or when like those small things. But those small things is what adds up over time to create excellence. So ever since I heard that, the mundanity of excellence, it rings true.
I'm thinking about small self-care too, being like a major piece of the excellence part of. I spent the last 8 years traveling. I don't know if you know about my dance background so much, but I spent the last 8 years traveling full time, on the road, out of my suitcase, going from city to city, teaching and hosting retreats and things like that. So I think what I want to get at is that those self-care things really, for me, was the things that I took with me everywhere I went and helped me maintain. So I was a roommate with one of my other dance teachers at this event called California Brazil Camp. And she goes, Kimberly, she's from Brazil. She's like, Kimberly, you have so many secrets. Because I opened my suitcase and I had like my herbs, my biomat, my massager, the little bowls, the little yoga mat. Like, I had everything, like no real clothes, just everything that I needed to take care of myself in order to perform.
Right, exactly.
So so let's talk about the difference. What I think is also really interesting is your definition of the difference between exercise and training. We do a lot of training inside of the KMM Virtual Dance Studio. So for the students that are watching, let us hear what Coach T has to say about training.
Definitely. And I will preface this by saying nothing that I've said prior to and what I'm about to say is meant to, belittle or insult or look down upon the average or someone who does not identify as a high performer. It's not that those things are, oh, you're not good enough or you're not good. It's not that. There's just a distinction. That's all. And so the main thing or one of the main things I talked about in the masterclass is that high performers and high achievers do not exercise. We train. And the difference is exercise is typically random leisure activity and mindless movement, whereas training centers around intentionality and structure and purpose. And so I remember one woman who I work with, when I said that to her, she's like, wait, say that again. And so I repeated it, and it just blew her mind. She said, well, that's what I've been doing all these years, exercising. No wonder I'm not getting anywhere, because the mind has to be a part of the process. The mind-body connection, which I'm sure all of you dancers understand that piece. And if you're, let's say, I'm sitting on a recumbent bike reading a magazine, that's not really, tell me what that is training. My mind is not in it. I'm
you
just
can exercise, like what? I don't
know. Right. And then there are phases in our training regimen. You're not going, or I don't think it is not advantageous for the body or the mind to go 100% intensity 100% of the time from January 1st to December 31st. If you're doing the exact same thing and the exact same intensity, right, that is also not training. There's a purpose, there's a season for everything. Your training goes up, it builds up, then it should taper off. Then there should be some downtime. Builds up, tapers off, then some downtime. And the purpose of that, the reason, is to save your body, really, and be able to do what you love to do for as long as you want to do it. If you're just always go 100% of the time, you will burn out. You probably will injure yourself from some kind of overuse injury, So these are intentional, that is training, intentionally setting up what
right,
your movement will look like in a year, in a month, in a week.
Did you guys hear that, everybody? Everybody taking notes? We need some downtime so that we can rev up. Yes. I'm so guilty of that. I'm so guilty of go. Like go until burnout, and then like, in my case, it was injury.
Yes, yep, same here. And that's unfortunately, that's how we learned from the injury.
It's so hard for like people with this, like, kind of like the high performance mentality that's probably the hardest part, right? I mean, yes. One of the hardest part for me, I know that's the hardest part, is the rest part. Trusting that, like, if I'm not, not working at it or seeing that as part of the work.
Exactly. And I'll illustrate, or I'll nerd out for 5 seconds, science wise, to tell you why that rest is important. But also, if you think about it, people know, we all know rest is important. But it isn't just about sleep rest, because that's the part where I learned, as far as my injury, I told the story during the masterclass. Yeah, I wasn't getting as much sleep as I probably should have been getting, but worse than that, I wasn't giving myself just downtime of not doing. So even if I wasn't training, I was working. Even if I wasn't working, I was going out to nurture friendships. Even if I wasn't nurturing friendships, I was up. I was just up. It is okay and is welcome, actually, to be bored, to not do anything.
I'm just laughing right now because I know so many people right now that are listening to this, like, know exactly. We're all guilty.
Yes.
Thank you, Coach T. Thanks for that nugget, because that really is, like, really valuable for everyone to remember and to hear it straight from you. That, like, okay, we got permission. Coach T says I get to rest.
Yes, exactly. And then the science behind that. Okay. When you are using your body, so specifically in training, while you're working out, while you're dancing, you're literally breaking down your muscle fibers. And these are micro traumas to your muscle fibers. So there's no progress, there's no gains being made during the workout. your progress, your gains are being made during the rest and recovery, because that is when your muscles repair themselves. They lay down new muscle fibers, new tissues in order to repair what we just did to it. So yes, moving our body is good for it, but in order for it to keep doing it, we have to allow it to repair and rebuild. So that is literally what is happening during your downtime and during your rest time and recovery.
Okay, I'm gonna really work on that.
Your face, you're like, oh.
I'm such an adrenaline junkie.
Gotcha.
I'm an adrenaline junkie, and I'm really kind of a nerd about these things. Like, I think that maybe we're very similar in the sense that I just have always kind of been not the greatest student in school, but like really, really good at using my physicality.
Right.
So was able to excel, in life because of my physicality.
Yes, which I really understand that for any of us, we want to, and you heard me talk about in masterclass, our strengths and using our strengths to work towards our goals. So of course, if you know you're good at something and you excel at something, then you want to do it more. Absolutely. Yeah. So that I understand where that comes from when you say that if you have been great at using your body and that's what has excelled you into certain arenas in your life, of course you want to do that more. So then I would just encourage you to think about it in terms of, because you're great at it, because you excel at it, and because you love it so much, then you deserve to nurture yourself in this way so you can continue to do it. And just pay a little more attention to where can I put in some downtime. It doesn't have to be the majority of your day.
I just had a doctor, one of my doctors, an Ayurvedic doctor, when I was seeing Dr. J in Los Angeles. He goes, Kimberly, like, even your rest time is working. Because I'm like, but okay, so then when I'm not doing this, I'm doing this, and this. And then he goes, but even your rest time is kind of stressful. Because in my mind, this is where my mind goes, like, okay, if I'm allowing myself to rest, then that means I'm gonna do, you can tell me if this qualifies, but this means that I'm gonna actively do an infrared sauna. So I'm gonna probably do a sauna. I will probably do some kind of a bath soak, like a Epsom salt bath. This is my version, right, of like self-care. Yeah. Some kind of like massage, body work.
Yeah.
I'll do maybe rolling out on my foam roller.
Yes.
Stretching.
Definitely. Yep.
And also my downtime would probably be cooking, which might not be might not be considered downtime,
but that all sounds, I mean, yes, that sounds, it's also,
or walking too. That's the other thing, walking.
Yes. Part of it. So yes, those are active recovery tools, 100%, which I encourage.
Okay,
of
good.
Course. Yeah. I also, is there maybe one day or half a day, maybe, where there's literally, where you're, when I say not on your feet, maybe not on your feet for a long time, like where it is like letting go. Maybe. You could be like, that could be, I'm thinking of, so for me, it used to be Sundays, or I shouldn't say used to, it still is, it's just, it looks slightly different. But Sunday was very sacred to me because that was the only day that I didn't work out training wise. And it was also the only day I didn't work. So Sundays was like, anything I want to do or not do, Sunday is it. So it was very hard for me, for friends to get me to do anything on Sunday, like come to this party, come to brunch, nope. It was hard for me to say yes to those things. Because for me, similar actually to what you said, some of those things, Sunday was my day of ice baths, cooking, and then just on the couch watching whatever I wanted to watch. At the time, it was Food Network or HGTV, but
nice.
But it felt, when Monday came, I felt renewed though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. And I imagine like too, when that rest is there so that you can, when you do go back into training, that you are actually training harder, or you have more energy to put towards the training, right?
Yes,
Which is
yes.
the whole point. Right?
Exactly. And I get 100% how it feels counterintuitive.
Right.
But it's so, it helps so much. So
can we talk a little bit? Okay, there's a couple of things I want to get through, because I will just sit here and talk your ear off forever. I'm like, I love this conversation. So the things I want to talk about are dancers, like as athletes.
Oh yes.
That I also want to talk about nutrition. So I know you're plant-based.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That's really intriguing to me.
Okay.
So nutrition, dancers as athletes.
Yes.
Maybe we can throw in something about injury.
Mm-hmm.
But let's start with the dancer as athletes, because like what I noticed when I became a professional dancer, when people would talk to me about my dance background, when I told them that my background was actually in athletics, they glossed over. They were just like, but wait, you did dance though, right? When you were like younger, right? At some point there was like dance, and I'm like, well, yeah, I was a big tapper. Like I tapped and I did jazz, and I danced hip hop in school with my friends growing up. You know what I mean? So I was like, so I'm like, well, yeah, but I think what they wanted to hear was that I was a trained on track, for professional dance since I was 3, in ballet and everything. Right. And I do dance ballet, but as a training for me, right. But because it's not necessarily the training that in the dance style that I do. It's not the dance style that I do, but I recognize that it's important to have that technique. Right. So I've always not really I have always kind of left that part of my background out, because I didn't think anyone really valued it. And I thought that it was actually devaluing my career as a professional dancer. And I think a lot of dancers, I don't know how many professional dancers were previous athletes, right. But I don't know how comfortable anyone would feel like kind of leaning into that as why they were successful as a dancer.
Right.
So for me, I just have always just been like, kind of like, oh, yeah, I did sports, and I did dances. But really, what now that I'm talking to you, Tilita, is that I'm able to see that the athleticism and the high performance mindset that I learned as an athlete in achieving my goals, because my goal was to play Pac-10 volleyball. Like that was what I wanted to do. Like I was like, I'm going to play Pac-10 volleyball. And I ended up doing that. And so I was, that was my goal. And that's what I worked towards since I was little. Nice. Yeah, thank you. And but that mindset is actually what helped propel me to become a professional dancer in Afro-Caribbean and Afro-Brazilian dance, because that style of dance is actually extremely athletic. I mean, it's super athletic. So anyway, I just thought I would bring that up. Yes, I do believe dancers are athletes.
Yes, 100%, 100%. Anyone who uses their body as, I don't even know what's the word I'm looking for, that's the primary use to do this thing, whatever your goal is with your body, you're an athlete. That's any dancer. And even if the style that you're doing isn't as athletic, like you said, your style for sure is, the discipline alone, all athletes have to have discipline if you're expecting to get to a certain level in it, period. But it's the physical nature of it. It takes an integration of strength, mobility, stability to do all of these things. That is being athletic. The ability to use your body in these different ways. To me, that like, it's not even a debate if a dancer is an athlete or not.
I think dancers tend to lean more into like the artist realm and be like, no, I'm an artist, because I think I think the word maybe, and I was like kind of trying to, I've been thinking about this a lot since we decided. I'm like, oh, maybe it's because of the competition kind of aspect of it, that dancer, that's why there's the disconnect, or that why dancers don't really kind of lean into the athletic world more. However, dance is so competitive.
Yes,
like,
exactly.
Oh my gosh, like it's so much more competitive than any athletic sports context that I have ever been in. And it's just kind of more underneath, but in sports and athletics, it's just out there.
Right, that's true.
So,
I also wonder if, and I'm thinking about this because of a few dancers who I know who were interested in running and in track, and their dance teachers didn't want them to do it. I wonder if it has anything to do with the perception of athletes having big muscles, and or that they don't stretch as much or focus on the mobility as much.
Enough mobility and flexibility.
Right.
Well, I know for sure that that dancers tend to use more of the smaller muscles, the core stability muscles, the smaller muscle groups in general. As athletes, when I was an athlete, I was using all of the big muscle groups way more. So so when I started dancing, when I became a dancer, I started to really work on developing those smaller muscle groups. Right. And so that to me also is something that I really liked about dancing, is that I had a chance to kind of approach my own training like differently, and like discover different parts of my body that I didn't, that like at that level for me of achieving what I wanted to achieve in sports. I think for me, I was just like bored after I kind of felt like I was just a robot.
Right.
Like I felt like I was just a machine kind of like doing. And so that was where I kind of started to kind of look in another direction for my adrenaline rush.
Yes.
Was to like go into a different realm of moving my body where I felt more challenged, and also I really I have become really spiritual. I also think spirituality is also probably in the definition of high performance.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, I would agree. It's because it's utilizing, it's a different energy to elevate you to this yes.
And like just faith, like faith, and like just and just confronting fear, that'll make you spiritual. I know for me, I've definitely felt like I cultivated spirituality inside of my high performance training, of trying to achieve my goals. And I still kind of apply that even with dance, but the spirituality part being so avert with this particular style of dance is what grabbed me, is what ended up kind of pulling me. But yeah, no, there was one ballet teacher that told me that dancers are athletes. And then that's when I started to really, and she was my, the one I just look up to the most, Josie Walsh. And so I ever since then I started to kind of go, okay, yeah, I can accept this part of me as a professional dancer, that this is my background. But when I got injured,
right,
I never thought that I would utilize the athletic training, some of the athletic training that I had done in my past life to recover from my knee injury. But after COVID and I lost access to therapy, I was like, I have to utilize every single thing I've ever learned in order to heal this knee. So I brought back all of the sports training and everything, every agility, all everything, plyometrics, everything into healing and recovering, into recuperating my knee. So let's talk about injury. This is a good segue.
Yes. Well, I'm actually glad you said that before I speak on the injury piece. Is if we did that preemptively, that actually may help people. Amber alert. Pardon.
Oh, wow. This is the first time it's ever done that. I hope everything's okay.
Yeah, definitely. Perhaps if we use that same our arsenal of all of those tools, that could actually help prevent injury. Because I fully believe that it isn't, yes, we have to do, and I'll give an example in a second. Yes, we have to do the thing that we are training for in order to get better at it. So yes, you have to dance to be a better dancer. Yes, I have to run to be a better runner. But there are so many tools that help support that, that can help make us stronger and do what we do better.
So
and
that's diversifying your training.
Yes, exactly. And I think every athlete, whether you're a football player, dancer, soccer player, swimmer, I think it's important to do that. Like finding what regimen of diverse movements works towards your goal. Because I don't think that runners should only run. I don't think swimmers should only swim. I don't think basketball players should only do basketball. And I have worked with many people who, especially dancers actually, in the past, I have had a few dancers say to me, oh, I dance. Like if I offer some additional things that they could do when we're not working together. Oh, I have dance class 5 days a week. So cardio is covered, or my mobility stuff is covered. This is covered. Yes, but you've also been dancing for 15 years or 20 years or however long it is. So that thing isn't the thing that's going to create change any longer. If you're looking for a different change, if you're looking to go to another level, if that makes sense.
You got me again. Because I started to realize that too.
Right.
I started to realize that dancing was not going to be enough.
Right.
Only dancing was not going to be enough to continue performing at the level that I want to perform at.
Yes. Right. So it's great that you discovered in your healing, oh wait, I have all of these other things that I've been doing in my past life, 20 years of being an athlete or however long, that to bring to this that actually is going to help. That's great. I love, that's great.
And the members of the KMM Virtual Dance Studio are benefiting from it, because we all, a lot of people, believe it or not, are in a situation right now where we don't have access to support. So, a lot of us are kind of trying to our health is our number one concern, and getting in shape is probably, so I'm sure that you're also finding that inside of your surge program, right? That like people are needing this kind of structure and support.
Yes.
In a time like this.
Yes, definitely. Even before the gyms were open again, for sure, people who were used to going to gyms, they didn't have that. But also to make it a little, I don't know if easier is the right word, but to have less on your plate, to figure out what things do I need to be doing in order to reach whatever the goal that I have. This person, Coach T, has a structure set up that does include a variety of things. So I don't have to like create it on my own. Like it's here. It's a full package deal. And so that including those integrating different things is important to me. That's what I wanted in my work, in my program. Also because throughout my whole life, I've been interested in different things. So I was never going to be someone that was only going to run or only going to be a gymnast. And actually that time where I was transitioning from being a gymnast to being a track and field athlete was hard, because they are kind of the exact opposite things. Like in gymnastics, I was used to pointing my toes and everything had to be pretty.
Right, that's like more like my dance. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But as I got into, like my coach said, it took 1.5 years, actually probably longer. Yeah, probably way longer, to even start to get some gymnastics out of my body, like stop pointing my toes and stop making everything pretty. But I used like the regimen that I had in gymnastics for mobility. I kept that up. I used actually the strength work, because as a gymnast, we never lifted weights or anything.
Sure.
It was a lot of body weight strength. I still kept that up while I was learning about implementing these new kind of weight. Okay, I'm going to actually lift weights now. Okay. But I was combining those, which I feel like helped me tremendously for a long time. Of course, until my injury happened, but for a long time. And my track coach at the time, though, didn't understand why I was still doing some of the things that I did from gymnastics. But my body just liked it. It felt good doing it. But the new stuff felt good too. So I was like, well, let me keep, combine it without overdoing it to my body also. So there is a balance that you got to find.
Do you think that, I'm just looking at time. So, and I also want to tell people who are watching right now that if you want to ask Tilita any questions or comments or anything about what we talked about, or even something that we haven't touched on, this would be the time to put that in the chat. And I'm looking, yes. There are a couple people, Paul Brown's here from Kansas City. He says, I love this interview. It's helping me understand myself. And Paul, I know nice. He's one of the members in the studio, and I know Paul will go to the end of the world for dance. So like I kind of have an idea of what he might be like in other areas of his life, Right. So hi Paul, thanks for being here. And Amy's here. She's a Pilates instructor in Boulder, Colorado. Just acknowledging that there's a lot of great information here. So
thanks. Nice.
Yeah, thanks everyone for being here. Hi Paloma. Jamie says never give up. That was like one of the earlier comments, I think, when we just started talking about that with the high performance.
Yes. Yes.
So, but I do want to talk about real quick is while people are putting in their questions, let's talk about nutrition.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Okay, because I guess the whole, I guess it's just kind of like, I think that people just assume like high performance training goes with a lot of protein. That means like you eat a lot of meat.
Right, exactly.
So, and since you're plant-based, I would love to get your feedback on how you are able to, I guess, meet the needs of protein that you need in order to perform at this level. And if it's just a myth, is it just a myth that we need that much protein, or like what is, because actually I'm kind of like, I do eat meat, but I'm not I'm limited to like chicken and turkey. Basically, that's what I eat. And I'm about 80% veggies.
Oh, okay.
Probably 90%.
Yeah.
So, okay, tell me about you. And you mean no dairy as well too, like because you're vegan.
Correct.
Okay. This is good because I've always kind of wanted to see like if maybe that's the direction I need to go in, but I do worry about whether or not I'll get what I need.
Yes. So yeah, I'm glad we're talking about that, especially when we just spoke about injuries. And so my injury is actually how I transitioned to being 100% plant-based. So the nutrition coach I was working with at the time, like a year and a half after my knee surgery, so I'm a person who, being that hashtag gold digger, will look to what things can I do to, like I said, reach my goal? What solutions? What am I missing? And at the time, while I felt like, well, I'm a relatively healthy eater, healthy eating is not necessarily the same thing as eating for performance or eating to help recover from injury. And so when I started working with this particular nutrition coach, she actually was concerned that my knee wasn't healing fast enough because it was still a year and a half, even though, yes, we knew the injury would take long because it was definitely an invasive surgery. It wasn't like a 6-month recovery. The doctor said it will take a full year, but it was a year and a half. And my knee, I was back on the track, cautiously, but the swelling in my knee was still.
What was the actual injury, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh, yeah. I ruptured my patella tendon. So the tendon that connects your kneecap to your shin completely tore off my kneecap. And so they had to reattach it.
Okay, but that was my injury. Yes, it was one of the ligaments or one of the tendons that was sprained. So I know like my entire like thigh was like so atrophied because I couldn't flex my kneecap. And that's actually why it took me 8 months to get back onto the dance floor because of that.
Wow. Oh, wow. I didn't know that. Okay. Yeah. Yes, it's not.
But that's intense. That's an intense injury. So, but it wasn't a meniscus tear or an ACL or anything like that. Okay.
Right. Oh. Which people assumed, they were like, oh my God, was it ACL? And I was like, no, actually worse because ACLs now, well, I say worse, meaning the recovery time, because ACLs have come around like faster recoveries now. But it was still a year and a half where my knee was puffy, and my nutritionist was like, I feel like that shouldn't still be like that. And I want everyone to understand what I'm about to say. She thought it was the dairy. And she said, I need you to, the first homework, essentially, the first thing she wanted me to tackle was to get rid of the milk and the dairy from I need everyone here to understand how much that hurt to hear, because milk was my absolute favorite beverage of all time. And I'm not exaggerating when I say I drank milk every single day with every single meal for like 25 some odd years of my life.
That's what they tell you. They tell you need the calcium.
Yes. When in actuality, come to find out that it was actually stripping my bones of the minerals. So it wasn't good for my bones at all. It was doing the opposite. And so when she said that to me, yes, it was a blow, but I'm willing to, test out these things because of the goal that I had. I want to say, was it 5? I want to say 5 weeks, 4 to 5 weeks. The inflammation had gone down. Yeah. And this is only by taking out milk. And I mean, I didn't have that much cheese at the time, but just focusing on not having 3 glasses of milk a day, taking that out, 4 to 5 weeks later, inflammation had gone down. Not just in my knee, actually all over my body, because you also don't know that something's not right until it's right. Because I was strong, I'm a great athlete. I didn't know that there was inflammation in any other parts of my body until
probably never even occurred to you.
Never.
Right.
Never. And so areas in my body felt less tight because the inflammation was going down. And that was a total, I said, I don't even understand what's going on here, but we need to keep going in this direction. So that was the start of my plant-based journey. And it helped, heal, or it helped my recovery. And everything else I started learning more, like diving into, now I need to know more about plant-based. And my partner, he's been vegan since before vegan was popular. He's been since the 90s. So I was already around him anyway. And so now it was just more of learning more about his, that way of eating. So anyway, that's my story. And then specific to what you're saying, making sure you're getting enough of whatever the nutrients is, whether it is calcium, whether it is protein, whether it is, all the things that we need. Protein especially is the thing that people are like, how do you get enough protein? Right. It is, on one hand, it is a myth as far as we actually, on average, the average person doesn't need as much protein as it seems like we need. You don't need 30, 40 grams in one sitting. Like, your body's not going to use it. Now, yes, do you need more as a high performance athlete? Yes, but it doesn't have to come from animal products. All foods, all things in nature has protein in it. Yes, total amount, it has less, but that's why you just have to make sure you have a variety of all of the foods. But because plant foods are nutrient dense and not calorically dense, you get to eat more of it anyway. So you will get the amount of protein that you need. Some plant foods have more protein than others, but they all add up by the end of the day, that,
So
as long as you're intentional.
Yeah, so I remember something that just came to mind, and it's hilarious. Hi, Rada. Rada's here from Maui. She says, how can I get biceps like Tilita?
Oh,
I'm like, dang, I'm going to go do some push-ups after this. I got like major bicep envy right now.
I will say that pull-ups are my favorite exercise. So that's one.
Okay, Rada, you hear that? She actually asked, on top of changing diet, do you suggest weight training every week too?
Yes. And by weight training, there you can also, resistance training is another way to say that. Weight training, it doesn't have to be barbells. It doesn't have to be, it's an added stimulus to the body that is adding resistance.
Got it.
So yeah, and you can get creative with a variety of things. Kettlebells, resistance bands. I use a variety, but I use a lot of kettlebells and resistance bands in my training for that elastic strength. And so I think that actually would apply really well for dancers. Yeah.
When you say elastic training, what exactly do you mean by that? I just was wondering what you...
So a resistance band, the beauty of it is because there's always resistance, like however far.
Pulling, yeah, and pulling, exactly.
And it also, because of that, it will tap into those smaller muscle groups you were talking about earlier, especially the muscle groups around your joints that are for stability. So they strengthen your tendons a little more than just the average barbell training or, yeah.
Okay.
And then as elastic strength for runners, especially at sprinter or jumper, specifically I am for triple jump, being able to quickly react off the ground. That's that elastic strength. So you don't want to lose, you don't want your energy to dissipate into the ground. You want to be able to react off the ground.
Got it. Okay. So back to, okay, so Rada says, okay, I'm going to start doing pull-ups.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So back to the nutrition piece real quick. So I remember, and even now I do this, like if I have a performance or I'm doing some kind of event where I'm I'm getting ready for something, like the day of, for example, I have these challenges that I do through the virtual dance studio where I'll do a 5-day free dance challenge. And I dedicate months before my challenge to get myself ready to be ready for this challenge, right? So that I can be at the top of my game when I'm teaching and offering this challenge. But part of it is like, okay, the day of and the day before, like I do actually go through an anti-inflammatory protocol where I do eliminate all grains, dairy, alcohol, sugar leading up to these events. And then I'm also kind of like intuitively kind of feeling my way through, like, what can I eat that will benefit me during, the showtime. So a lot of that is like bone broth. Like I'll do a lot of soups, maybe some chicken broth, where I'm not too full, but I'm also not empty.
Yes. That was
timing, I guess, is what I'm wondering really about how the nutrition piece works with the performance piece, like, and when is like the good time to be kind of integrating these. I don't know if I'm articulating it that well, the question.
I think if I understand, well, one, actually, before I get to the timing, where I thought you were going with it, especially when you said bone broths and soups, it's great liquefied meals, what I call them, because yes, you're not full, but you are fueled. So there is something in you, and the body absorbs liquids faster and easier.
Hydration,
anyway.
Right.
Yeah. And so those nutrients of the bone broth and the soups will get to the working areas quicker, into the cells quicker. So it's great that you utilize those. Timing wise, I would say similar to similar to a workout, like just one singular workout. You don't want to be full. You don't want something sitting in your stomach right before you get on stage, right?
Though that people are like, okay, eat pasta, you need carbs like the night. I mean, do you remember hearing those conversations? I remember when I was younger, and my mom used to be like, okay, you have a big tournament tomorrow, we're gonna eat pasta, lots of carbs, here you go, here's a big plate of pasta. And I'd be like, oh my, the next day my whole belly would hurt, and I used to be like, oh.
Right, exactly.
So
well, two things that I would say to that, because yes, I remember that carb loading, essentially what that is if you haven't been training your body to do that prior to that day, there's no need to introduce something new just because that you have the tournament the next day, or a long dance day, or a long physical day. Yes, you want to, carbohydrates are important because it is your number one source for sustained energy. So you want to make sure that you're just introducing that to the body anyway, not in this one big meal, not you know. So you want to have a source of carbohydrates during that meal, but not, it doesn't need to be the full-on plate.
Thanks, Mom.
That was a common thing for sure.
And I'm like, sure. I can't get off the ground. Like trying to jump. I'm like, and a big elephant. I feel like I'm, carrying a big weight.
Right.
So, but good. I'm glad we're addressing this.
Yes, definitely. And if you're prepping though for a full day of physical activity, yes, the night before is important to have some source of carbohydrates, but in between, like in light form, in liquid form, even great, but in light form throughout that day. So if it's a full day of dance or of the tournament, you want to make sure you're getting that in between. And fruits are carbohydrates. Right. And so that's a good source, and a lighter source in between. Those are sugars that your body will utilize right away. Mm-hmm. The closer to the activity, the lighter the thing you want to have, for sure. Right. So
okay, so I'm intuitively following the right protocol.
Yes.
For the most, I guess for the highest performance possible.
Yes. To get the most bang for your buck. In a moment. Yeah. Definitely.
Okay, this is so good. All right, does anyone else? Lisa's here we have a lot of Hawaii people. She's in Kauai. She says this is awesome information. So appreciate it. Van Shields. Hi, Vanta Shields. He's in Los Angeles, and he is enjoying the conversation. And I just love seeing everyone here. Thanks so much for being here. So Tilita, you have the Surge program is it 3 months at a time?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
12 weeks. Our next round starts August 1st is the kickoff party, and then August 2nd is our first day of training. Okay. But yeah, it's so interesting. I was about to say I'm proud of the Surgers and where it has evolved to, because when Surge was first born, this was last April. So it was born during the pandemic. I've been coaching for 16 years, 17 years, but one-on-one. And so I've never done a group format. And I didn't think, because I'm so attentive to detail and making sure that the person is in the right alignment and doing things right, I didn't think I could handle a group because I'm not a huge fan of boot camps or like one class with 50 people in it. I just don't understand how is the coach possibly going to be able to, see each person, making sure they're doing it correctly. But it came out of a need. So like you were saying earlier, people needing guidance, people wanting connection also during this time of being so isolated. And so I was like, okay, well, let's see if a group dynamic can work. And the key thing that I wanted to make sure still existed though, I wanted a person to feel like, even though they were in a group dynamic, that it almost felt like a private session, that you were still getting the best of me as a coach and guiding you through this progressive, comprehensive program, and not just random workouts like, oh, this is hard, let me put this in here. oh, this is hard, let me put this in here. But it was a thoughtful, progressive program, with built-in active recovery weeks and things like that, to help them keep working towards their goal, even during a time where people felt like uncertain or hopeless, or like, I can't possibly work toward my goals because we're all, in this pandemic. But so it started with that in mind, but it has still evolved, and I've added elements and seeing what worked well, took out a couple things that, that didn't work so well. And we're now in our 5th iteration. Yeah, this is our 5th season. And I'm enjoying it way more than I thought that I would enjoy group, a group setting. And so I wanted.
You also provide like meal plans and all that, right? It's like, it's a full I want to say, you can correct me, but from what I understand, and I will do this someday, because I really want to, I want to be a surgeon.
Yes.
I do recognize again that, like, in order for me to stay at the top of my game in dance, that it's that I want to diversify, and I really would like to work with you and just get some also support in areas where I just wouldn't do things by myself. Like I wouldn't use weights by myself.
Right.
Maybe resistance bands, yes, and all the resistance training I got, but like weights and certain other things, maybe conditioning, like running and things like that, I would probably love to get. So so this is so good.
Yes.
But it's all-encompassing, right? All-encompassing program.
As far as the strength component, conditioning work, there's mindset. We have calls that are separate from the training, the physical training itself, for goal digging mindset work. And then the nutrition piece, it's not an actual meal plan. So I'm not giving you here, eat this at 7:00, eat this at 1:00, eat this. It's a habit-based approach to nutrition. And so that we are getting solid, your foundational nutritional habits that innately kind of, what's the word? It builds in, our foundation, really, like I said, the foundation, so that regardless of the style of eater you are, so it doesn't, yes, I'm a plant-based eater and I plant-based coach, but even if you're not, you don't have to be plant-based to be in the program. The point of it, though, is regardless of what kind of eater you are, to get in the habit of getting as much plant foods in the body as possible, to get in the habit of eyeballing what the right amount of protein your body needs, the right amount of water that the body needs, these kinds of habits, and making sure you are not under eating. And oftentimes we're not eating nearly enough.
Yeah, and I think too, like when you don't feel your best, or when you let yourself get dehydrated, or you let yourself get hungry, and yet you're still trying to have a lot of expectations of what you're supposed to be doing. So you're like going into your training starving because you didn't have time or whatever. Like, I think that like doing a program like Surge is so beneficial, so that you can like how you said, you're paying attention to all the micro needs, right? Small details of what it takes to be able to support the habit to continue going. Because I can imagine that once people, when they're doing it by themselves, they hit like a wall, and they don't feel good, or they're just, and then they just stop altogether. That's enough for them to not continue.
Exactly. And then putting all those habits together, every other week, I will give a meal, a menu. So a meal prep menu. So the things that you can prep at the beginning of your week, so that you have these nutrient dense meals on hand when you get busy, or if you just feel like you don't feel like cooking something or making something. So those coincide with the habits to make sure these are nutrient dense proteins, nutrient dense carbohydrates, nutrient dense, as colorful as fruits and vegetables as possible. But
I love that idea of the salad jars that you were talking about, the mason jars with salad in them. So you can just like have that, something that's already prepared that you can have when you need it.
Yeah. It's so every time I get excited when I open the refrigerator and see these like 5 mason jars, colorful food. And it like, yes, I get to, I don't have to make anything right now. I can just dump it upside down and eat it. And then when the end of the week comes, and then I forget, like, oh, it's the end of the week. Oh, shoot, I don't have one left. It's time for meal prep again. Like, I get so disappointed, like, when I don't have one sitting there waiting for me.
That's a good enough motivation in and of itself. Yeah.
Right.
To be able to open your refrigerator and see all these happy, vibrant colors staring back at you and your food.
Yes.
So, well, thank you so much, Tilita. Like, I know that this interview will actually stay up for people who will be watching this as a replay. So if you are watching this as a replay, and you have a question for Tilita, she's active on social media. You can connect with Tilita at what's your handle on Instagram?
I am Tilita. IAM TILITA.
Okay, and then Facebook handle?
It should be either. You can Tilitafied is the business page.
It's Tilitafied. Okay, so I'm going to put all of Tilita's information so you can connect with her. She does have open enrollment right now for the next Surge program that's starting August 1st. So if you're interested in learning more about that, she's doing master classes called the game changer, where
the game changer method,
right? So that you can learn more about this program that she offers. But I'm so grateful to be able to take this time to talk to you. I know that so many people are going to benefit from hearing how knowledgeable you are, and like how we can continue growing and being better versions of ourselves and being more embodied in what we're doing.
Yes, exactly. It's that connection. That connection piece is so huge. And I thank you, Kimberly, so much for inviting me. One of my goals for this, not just this year, the past 3 years, maybe a little longer, being oftentimes, and I'll leave everyone with this, being a high achiever, being a high performer can be lonely sometimes, because it isn't the majority of the people. And so one of my goals has always been like to connect with other people who are up to big things.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna cry.
Because I thrive off of that energy and being inspired, watching someone else like at the top of their game, or not even, they don't have to be at the top of their game, but they are just thriving and striving to do more and be better. And so the fact that that's one of the reasons, I feel like I clicked with you and connected with you in such a short period of time.
Yeah.
I can feel that from you, that energy from you. And I'm like, I want to be around her all the time. So thank you for, fulfilling that.
My brain is just always a one-track mind. How can we get better at this? How can we grow? How can we become more embodied?
Yes.
So, and I realized that, again, like just talking to you, I learned so much, even as as a teacher and someone who is, is an athlete and dancer. Like I've learned so much today, and I'm going to start implementing more rest days.
Yes, nice.
And I probably will go back through this video and watch it again, just because I know that there was so much that we covered today. So I know we ran over. It's so hard to just get everything in this short period of time. But I think that we shared a lot of information with everyone, and people are just saying thank you so much. This is so inspiring. This is awesome.
Oh, good. Good.
And thank you everyone for being here today. And like I said, in the post, I will put ways that you can connect with Tilita, and this video will stay up. So if you do have a question, you're watching this a year from now or tomorrow or another day, and you have a question, just tag us. Yeah. And we'll be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Yes.
Thank you, Coach T.
Thank you all for paying attention and listening.
No, we will be in touch.
Cool.
Okay.
Yay.
Bye, everyone. Have a good night. Ciao.